how to keep my mouth under control.
That is so sweet. So sweet. You guys, happy Tuesday. Happy book launch day, book series launch day is more how I'm going to do it. Because you guys are no stranger to Bjorn and his series, Rune of. And so today is the birthday of Rune of Spirit, which is a beautiful cover. We're going to talk about the cover. We're going to talk about the story. It's introduction of Josephine, who me and Andrea absolutely love. Oh, see, fantastic. It's a great day. And it's Tuesday. Like, come on, it's Tuesday, you guys. It's a good day to launch a book. But you guys know me, Amy. You know Bjorn, who's the incredible author. You know his fabulous editor, Andrea. Cover designer is Dina Ray, who comes with a disclaimer for this hour. She has a disclaimer, you guys. And then his lovely publicist, Mickey. So you guys know we love to just have a good time on these. And I can't think of a better book launch conversation than hanging out with all of you guys. We always have really fun conversations. And so I'm super excited to just see where we rabbit hole today with Rune of Spirit, book 6 in your series. And so Bjorn, I'm going to have you tell the name of your series because one, I butcher it. I'm not even going to try because I butcher it. So tell us the name of your series.
Outside the Thalspar.
Yeah, see, Thalspar. I need someone else to say it. And then Thalspar. Then I can get it. But yes, we're in book 6 today. It's yellow. So Bjorn, give us a summary about book 6. And then we're going to pop over to Andrea and get her take on editing it.
Okay. So book 6, this is a continuation of the branching out into the what we'll call the non-Mariel characters. Mariel, of course, is the protagonist, the main focus of books 1 through 3, and she's the backbone of the story. But there's so much more to the story. There's hundreds. Of course, they're not every one of them doesn't have a book, but there's hundreds and thousands of characters that feed into the story that makes her successful in her story. So this is a further expansion of that. This one takes place, the book begins in 1860s New York City. So it's a completely different departure from what we've seen so far in the series. And it chronicles starting out as a young teen, or a 16-year-old, so I guess a mid-teenager, named Josephine. And she is she doesn't have the ideal circumstances. Okay. She's in a family called the Cameron family, obviously. Her father's Alistair. He's a Scottish immigrant. He's been in New York for many years, and he built a business. Now, keeping in mind in 1860s New York, and some might argue it still is, but it was very, very corrupt at that time. It was the police, the politics, the business, everything was corrupt. Everybody was out to, get what they can for themselves. There was crime. There was gang, the gang warfare was there. It was a different kind, but it was primary Irish immigrants that came that they couldn't find meaningful work and were derided by the people who were already in New York. So they formed their own gangs. So you've got a lot of uncivilized sort of dynamics going on, and she's being raised in this environment. And her father is Alistair. He is very, very cold-blooded businessman. He almost is unfeeling. He doesn't even show love to his own family. He married for the presence of a wife and to give him offspring. That was his motivation. So that kind of gives you an idea of what she's growing up in. And she's got 2 older brothers who her father puts them all at each other's throats to compete with each other to run his empire one day. And his business is an empire. It's over shipping, it's over mercantile, it's got a lot of facets to it. A lot of it's legal and a lot of it's not legal. They run contraband. And keeping in mind too, this is the 1860s, so this is during the era of the Civil War, the American Civil War. One thing I wanted to plug into the story was New York during the Civil War. It was in the North. It was the most populous city in the North, in the Union, the northern side. But there was no overwhelming loyalty to the Union. New York, in fact, didn't like, for the most part, didn't like the war. They didn't like Lincoln, and they didn't really want to be part of it. They just wanted to do their own thing and not be involved in this. So that created a whole nother level of strife on top of all the other things I was describing earlier. So the tumultuousness of this background of her of where she's growing up is quite really overwhelming to, modern, I believe anyway, to modern people. And that kind of guides her into being a dark character. She doesn't start out that way, but she ends up that way. And a lot of it has to do with all these circumstances. But this book primarily focuses on just her and what makes her so dark and so, I won't say she's evil. She's just dark. She's very focused on survival of herself and the Cameron family is the family business, even not even so much the family, just the business is her driving motivation, and it pushes her to do a lot of bad things. She's a criminal for the most part. She's a criminal, and she is ruthless. I mean, she doesn't pull any punches. She has no problem with murder.
She's awesome. She's ruthlessly awesome.
She is by far the most intense character I've written so far.
Yes.
But she is a descendant of Mariel, and it lays out, it's kind of a background noise at this point, but she does know. She hasn't shared it with her family because it comes in dreams and visions and things like that. And she's just not a sharing person. She's very keeps to herself, her thoughts to herself. She doesn't let anything out. It's vulnerability if she tells people too much. So even her own family. So, but she does know she's a descendant of this strange Viking warrior, but it doesn't make sense to her. She just knows she has these visions and she knows it, but she has no idea what it means or if it means anything. She even questions whether she's sane. Maybe it's just she's crazy and she's imagining this stuff, but she just pushes on. But the dynamic between herself and her brother Lachlan deteriorates more and more and more throughout the story, to the point that she's not trying to murder him per se, but he is trying to murder her. It gets that bad. But there's these rules in the Cameron family. Cameron doesn't hurt Cameron, but that doesn't stop Lachlan from trying to find around the elbow ways to make it happen, to eliminate. It's a very twisted story, to be quite honest. And there probably needs to be a lot of trigger warnings on this one.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I don't know. I mean, I tend to like, not necessarily like morally gray, but just darker, intense stories that you have to follow. But you're just, for me, I become so emotionally invested that it's hard to kind of turn away for those. But yeah, trigger warnings for some are a deterrent. For others are just like, give me all the trigger warnings. I'm one of those that's like, give me all of the trigger warnings that you can. And, I'll decipher which ones I can and cannot handle. But this one's violent. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Most of the books I write are violent, but it's due to the background of the eras they're in and things. But this one's a lot more malicious violence than in the past. Like Ingrid killing, that was battle. That was Norse battle. That was just the way of life and the thing they did. Yeah.
And same with Mariel, and the Saxon lands was politics. So this is the one it's more, to me anyway, and I didn't really write it to be that way. I'm just trying to reflect the reality of what the time was and where they were. But it's a little more disturbing. just as I just want to throw it out there for anybody thinking about reading it, that you're not going to find a lot of rainbows and puppies in this one.
Oh, man, I don't know if it's disturbing. It's just awesomely ruthless, I guess, is like, that's how I would describe it. But Andrew, you edited it, and it is, and there's not necessarily dying in battle and those kinds of things. So what was it like? Are you a fan of Josephine? I love her. So I'm dying to get your opinion and your take on it.
Yeah, for sure. Muriel has always been my favorite character. And then here comes Josephine. And they're just two very different characters. The things I liked about Muriel was how strong she was, what a warrior she was in a time, at least for me at least, I think back then it wasn't that unusual to have female warriors, but certainly in our society, that's unusual. And she was just such a powerful leader, but also very relatable and lovable, quirky. And then here comes Josephine. And so she's, like Bjorn said, she's not a warrior in that sense. And I don't think it's disturbing. I just think it's ruthless. Yeah, I think that's what you said, Amy. It's ruthless. But in the sense that she's this entrepreneur. So she's got an amazing loyalty to her family business. And so she advances that in ways that are just incredibly courageous, particularly at what I'm thinking of at the scenes where she's about 19 years old and the situation she finds herself in, surrounded by other men, and her being the only female, and she holds her own, so it's definitely a dysfunctional family. I think that was one of the first notes I made during the edit.
It was.
One, I was like, oh my gosh, this family is dysfunctional. But yeah, I mean, from that comes this incredibly strong female lead. And I think another question I had early on was like, this relates to Muriel and the Thalspar. How? But if you trust Bjorn, and if you're in book 6, then you have trusted him all along, and there is going to be a connection and a payoff at the end, and it most certainly did not disappoint. So
yeah, I should have elaborated a little bit more on that when I was speaking earlier, but yeah, I kind of got carried away with this story and didn't make the connection. But in book 1, when book 2, when Mariel comes back in Rune of Renewal, she comes back in 1941, and she comes back to this sprawling, enormous secret organization, basically this secret organization, this support structure specifically designed to make her successful in her final stages of her destiny. And it mentions that Josephine Peel built it, but that's it. It doesn't go into a lot of detail. It just says she came from back east, she had powerful connections, and she built this structure. But it didn't go into how, or why. But what you see is it's here, and it's very complicated things she built. Book 7, and this is more about the connection from 6 to 7. But in book 7, you'll see why she had to be the way she is to be the one to build this. Because it wasn't like she just went down the road, bought some land, hired a contractor, up goes a building, and there everybody now we're set. It had to be secret, and it had to be very innovative. And in order for it to happen that way, it took a very specific person to do it, and it had to be her. And book 6 gives you all the background to understand how she became the way she is and how it ended up being integral for her to build the MMC. I mean, it had to be her. There was no other person. And it also kind of plays into a theme that I've said before, that sometimes bad does good and sometimes good does bad. And oftentimes the ultimate good has to be spearheaded by a bad person. It's the way life is. It's not black and white. It's not simple. But I just wanted to kind of throw out there that is the connection. This isn't a standalone book. This isn't a spinoff. This is integrated into Mariel's story. But I did wrote a whole novel to explain how Josephine became the way she was, so that the reader fully understands why and how and what the reason for it is in 7.
I think it's needed, though. Like, I think if you're going to have a dark character like Josephine, then you need to know how she became that, right? Because there's definitely instances or circumstances or upbringing or whatever that has made this person the person that you like. I thoroughly love her and enjoy her, but others may hate her because of it. So you have to like understand that going into it, I think. So I think it was beautifully written, and it was a very hard one for me to put down. Like Josh would ask me to do something, and like, 'cause it's just up my alley. Like, it's up my alley. It's what I enjoy reading, which like, I'm not an unhinged person. Don't come for me. I'm not unhinged. I promise. At least not today. I'm not today. Okay. But I think it was just like kind of what was needed. So I'm excited. The world gets to read it. I'm definitely going to be rereading it for sure. But I know Dina was just as excited to do the cover. We always talk about it. Bjorn's always like, I got a real doozy for you. It's going to be hard. And then Dina just knocks them out of the park. So, Dina, let's talk about the cover process, what it was like, how you came to the yellow color and the cover in which we have. I'm going to pull it up while you talk about it so we can get a better look at it.
Well, every time Bjorn says, oh my God, you're going to have such a hard time with this one.
You prove me wrong every time.
I love it.
But it seems to be a winning formula. I doubt you, and you knock it out the park. So let's just keep doing it.
I won a ship in New York in I think it was the 1800s, right? And I was like,
yeah.
Okay. I said, what color are we going for? He goes, I want yellow. I'm like, are you sure you don't want pink? Come on, we need pink.
She does try to get pink or a salmon color in there. We're going to get it one day.
Every time. So I was just like, I went and I found all the ship images I could find and, put a little bit of a filter over them. And I was like, hey, okay, here's this one and this one and this one and this one. What do you think?
No, it was perfect too. And I didn't even give you a whole lot of background on it. It was, I mentioned the ship because it stays in kind of the theme of, transportation, so to speak. And of course we like to do the different colors, but you hit it out the park because it connects on a bunch of levels. A lot of her activity in the book revolves around shipping because that's one of their biggest business interests is shipping, during the 1800s. And you got the fog, which is a little dreary, the darkness is a little dreary and kind of foreshadows what the backdrop is. So it was perfect. Awesome.
And of course the moon is on every cover.
Right. Has to be.
I
just
love
has
it.
to be. No particular reason, just has to be.
Well, I think it's a good focal point, right? Because it breaks up and it gives your covers depth, which I think is important. And it's hard to kind of create certain depths within covers, right? Unlike those kind of flat images. But the thing that I love the most is the city in the background, right? You have the focal point of the ship, you have the dreariness, but you have this nice fog and then the city in the background. And I don't know, but it just does something for me because it ties in the story, I think, so well. And the yellow, just now that I see it, I understand why Bjorn picked yellow after reading the story. It just goes I don't know. It just now that I have it goes.
Honestly, the full wrap is it's more explanatory than just your front.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't have that image to post up here.
Yeah, that pulls in more of the busyness of New York at the time because it was exploding in size at the time.
This is hold on a second. I got it.
Ooh, yay. I like it when Dina has it and I don't, because then she pulls up the more amazing image. So I love it when she has it because mine always feel distorted. So
yeah, hold on. I just gotta find it. I know that we had worked. I'm looking in the project folder for it right now, and I know that you just said yellow, and you said she's coming to the States and she's doing this, right? So I've got one of the United States with but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, but we got it.
She has a lot of fun doing it because we always meet with Bjorn, right? Me, Dina, and Bjorn meet. And he's like, I've got a real doozy for you. I don't know. I think this one's going to trick you up. And then we get off the phone and then she's pulled some images. And always before we give them to Bjorn, me and Dina always meet and go over them. And we kind of tell each other what our favorites are that we agree on. Then we send it to Bjorn and his are sometimes the same and sometimes different. So then we do a mock-up cover of the image we like and the one that Bjorn likes. And he always ends up liking the image that we had originally kind of agreed on together, me and Dina. So it's always a fun kind of back and forth experience. But I always hear Bjorn and he's just well, you surprised me again and you nailed it. You just nailed it. You did it again. I don't know. So I'm excited to see, how the next one comes and what all evolves out of that. But when Dina gets the full cover with the city and everything in the background, we will look at that. But we'll kick it to Mickey because I know Mickey has to leave early-ish for this. So Mickey, let's talk about just your relationship with Bjorn, the books, the covers from a publicity standpoint, kind of refresh and give us your point of view on that. I got to plug my computer in. So
it's been such an amazing ride, and I'm actually not going to have to leave today. I made arrangements so I could stay for the full thing, just FYI.
Oh, snap.
Cool.
So, but beyond that, I mean, talking about the book covers and just the overall publicity relationship in a whole, it's been nothing but positive across the board. And every time another cover comes up, all of the media outlets and people that I work with are like, wow, this is a new one and it looks amazing, just like every other one. So, I mean, when we do the Puppies and Rainbows cover at some point, we'll see if the jury is out and see what they actually say.
Are you talking about the pink cover? I'm telling you, Dina's at some point going to get some variation of pink, whether it's salmon or something. It's not going to be flamingo like her background, but she will somehow tie it in. I'm telling you, she will.
I think we kind of settled on salmon on book 8 the last time we went through all this.
Perfect.
Sam.
But
And I am going to put a little flamingo on the back cover.
That's going to be your new Easter egg. It's going to be a flamingo.
All right. That means at some point in one of the spinoff books, I'm going to have to write a penguin in there somehow.
Perfect.
Somehow there's going to have to be
Awesome.
a penguin in the story.
Looking
I'm
forward to
liking
that.
it.
But in all seriousness, like, we've worked with 6 books with you now from a publicity standpoint, Bjorn, right? 6
Mhm.
books. And the feedback I get all the time is, number one, when's the next one coming out? And just how ethical and how professional you are in your responses on interviews, talking about the book, but also talking about yourself. It may not seem like a lot, and it may not seem like it means a lot, but it really, really does.
Well,
And I know that
the
when
books are more interesting than I am, so it's not hard.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I hear differently. But the point I'm trying to make is I have no issues ever going to anybody pitching you or any of your books, because I know that from a media and draw perspective, it's something that their fan base and their audiences are looking for.
But that speaks a lot for you too, Mickey, because I can honestly, and I am a pretty easy guy to get along with, but nobody have you hooked me up with yet for an interview or a podcast or written interview, anything. Have I had a problem with? I mean, it's been a good experience every time. There was one interview I did have that I was only thrown back because the format confused me. the way the questions and the format just was, I didn't know how to adapt to it. But other than that, and I've done a bunch of them thanks to you. I've done a whole bunch of them now, and they've all been great. So that says a lot about your ability to find good matches for your clients. That's thank you.
Well, I am now knocking on wood, because hopefully you haven't jinxed that. So we'll see how it goes.
My mom used to yell at me. If I said something off the wall, she would say, "You're going to talk it into existence." That's how old Charlestonian.
Man.
You are a pleasure to work with, my friend. And with this 6th book coming out, I'm really looking forward to the 7th and beyond. And I think this team's impeccable. Like, this team, all of us, I think we do an incredible job. And we may not do an incredible job if the content wasn't there from a relationship standpoint and a fan reader standpoint. So that's one compliment I'll give you.
I 100% agree with you. I would not. None of this would be happening if it weren't for you guys. I could write them, sure, but that's a small portion of what happens with a book. I mean, you guys are the magic workers, not me.
See the full cover, and you have the other ship in the background, and like the dreariness. It literally is like a friggin' painting. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but I don't know. I'm going to get it printed so I can just mount it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, but I think it feeds to the story. Like, that's my whole thing. All of your covers generally feed to the story, right? But this one, just with the color and like the setting and the content, it made me like, it set the tone for the type of book I was going into, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of knew what I was getting into ahead of time, so I am biased in that, but it just really like set the tone. Like, book covers set the tone of the type of book you're going into, right? Which is why we always say you literally judge a book by its cover. I don't know why people say that you don't, because you 100% do. And if you don't, you're definitely lying, because we all do.
You
Like,
know,
The cover's the
100%.
first thing that's going to suck you in.
Or the spine. The spine sucks me into the way that the title of the book is written on the spine. I don't know if anybody else is like this, or if, like, again, I'm just unhinged. But the way, you know, because when you have the books lined up like at Barnes and Noble and they're like on the spines, the way that the name is written on the spine and the colors that are there is what attracts me to it. And then if it's like a letdown with the cover, you know, like the spine looks better than the cover, then you're just like, well, damn it, I fell for it. You know, I don't know. I get all upset.
In most books, all you see is the cover, because they don't put them on the shelf. Well, except at Walmart. I think Walmart does, or they used
face
to.
out. Yeah.
You know,
they do face out.
Cover out, but most of them, they're all on the shelf with your spine. And so, like, your spine's got to be something that's coming in, you know. I mean, look.
Yeah, but have you ever had a spine let you down?
On it, and I'm trying to think, would I pick this up off the shelf, just off the spine? I don't know. Maybe so.
Yeah. Well, it makes you like, I don't know. I mean, not that I go to bookstores very often. I very much am like an ebook, audiobook reader, just the way that my like season of life is right now. But I think if you went to a bookstore, and I have, and I'm looking at the cover, like the spine of it, that's what gravitates me to pick up the book if it's not face out. And then, have you guys ever done that? And then you look at a cover and you're like deeply disappointed because the cover it like was a letdown as to what you were expecting. Yes. Okay. Good. So it's not just me. All right. Yep. So we're all unhinged to a degree. I don't feel you guys are part of my clan. Okay. I love it. But I think with your books, Bjorn, and it's not just because I know Dina, because if I would tell her if she needed to work on her spines, we have that kind of relationship. But they pull me in. The typography that is used on it, the color shades and tones and stuff. But it also gives me kind of the setting of what the story is going to be. If it's going to be a dark story, or like a puppies and rainbow story, right? Or like a rom-com in Norse Viking era, like, you know, I don't know, but it sets the tone, so I kind of understand what I'm getting into before I go and read like that first paragraph to see if it's something that I enjoy. And not very many authors do that. They tend to do book covers, if you don't work with Dina, off of what's trending or what works within that genre, but it doesn't always feed to the type of story that you're getting into. And I like it when it feeds to the type of story, so I know, because, you know, when you read a book, especially a dark, violent book, my kind of books, right? You have to be in a certain headspace to get into that book. You can't go in it thinking it's puppies and rainbows and like a puppy and rainbow day. Like, you have to be in a certain mind space to enjoy that type of book. And I think the cover plays a big role in that. So no,
I agree 100%. A lot, even in the writings of the stories, I just a big believer in symbolism and connection. And the book, that's what I love about Dina's work. Almost every element in some way connects to something inside the book. It's not just that, like, it's not just gift wrapping. You know, it's something's meaningful to it.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's not something that you see very much of, like, within specific genres. In your genre, your book blends so well and fits into so many different genres that I think it's refreshing to see it kind of correlate to what the story is about, right? Because your book blends into so many genres. It's hard to categorize your books. Like,
it is.
It truly just is. So it's more categorized based off the story to me, like, than like what the series is, because each book is a little bit different, but just from a genre like place point, it blends so well. So your cover feeds to the type of story you're getting into, which I thoroughly appreciate. And I am what is it, Dina, that you say, grammar vandal? I'm terrible with
grammar vandal. I definitely am.
Okay. So we're terrible with it. And I have read a lot of books, and I read a lot of app-based or web-based novels, right? Which aren't edited, nothing, right? And then I read really polished, traditional, published books. But it's refreshing when I read a book that Andrea has edited, because it's just a beautiful book when you read it, and it's just edited nicely. And I can always tell when it's a book she's done. Like it's just, you put your own little flair in it, and it's just different and refreshing, and I love it. So I will always recommend you, Andrea. I think it's fantastic. But I'm going to put everybody on the spot. Well, I guess me and Andrea, because we've read them. What is your favorite book in the series up to date? And it can be one that you've read that's not out, or a previous one. It doesn't have to just stop at 6, right? But I want to know, what is your ultimate favorite one that Bjorn has written?
Oh, that's tough. I honestly, it's not a cop-out, but I think it is this one, just because I love Josephine so much.
Yes.
But, and also I would have to say, to answer that question, that a lot of the stories at this point, I think I've edited 8 books. So a lot of them kind of run together, and I would have to have Bjorn's help to know where this happened. But I would have to say my favorite battle scene, and he's so good at writing battle scenes, is at Fjord Skoren. Is
Book
that right?
2. Yep.
I thought it was book 2. It's my favorite one. There is so much symbolism in it. It is this, it's such a build. And as an editor, I'm also a reader. And so I've admitted this to him before, but there are times, and this is not true of every author, but there are times where I'm so into it, I just have to just read ahead, a page or 2 or whatever, and then go back and actually do the editing, because my heart is racing. And so definitely Fjord Skoren, that battle scene there, just amazing.
And just for the readers that might be watching that are about to pick it up, that is you disagree with me, Andrea, if you do, but that is Mariel at her absolute finest in all ways. That is from a spiritual standpoint, her cleverness, her prowess in battle. It's like her moment. That is her shining moment, and it does almost kill her, but
yeah,
there's that, but that's a light note. Bjorn,
and I will tell you this as an editor, as from my perspective, and I have shared this with Bjorn more than once. In my opinion, aside from writing like your own bio, which for some reason is super hard, I think 2 of the hardest things for an author to write and get it done well, convincingly, smoothly, are battle scenes, or any kind of a fight scene, and sex scenes. And the reason is because you are having to describe positions of body and movement without getting in the way of yourself. And so believe it or not, I mean, if you are reading it and you're not thinking this is awkward, it's because they did it so well. Those are very difficult to write. Bjorn intentionally does not have a whole lot of sex scenes, and when he does refer to something of that nature, it's very tasteful. But he has numerous battle scenes and fight scenes, and he is the best writer of fight scenes, battle scenes of anyone I've ever read.
I appreciate
they
that.
are they are very well done, because I have read books where you're just like, what, like that, even if it was like a sex scene, you're just sitting here and you're like, how, but no, like that doesn't make any sense, right?
Awkward, cheesy.
And you're just like, what?
Okay, that's not physically possible.
You're just like asking all these questions in your head, right? You're just like, well, what? I mean, when you have to like go back and reread it, right?
Yeah.
And I've read action books, where it's like a fight scene, not necessarily like a battle scene, but like a fight scene, and you sometimes you have to go back and you have to reread, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like if I punched him here, it's not going to land on his left cheek, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so it is one that I didn't have to go back and like reread your stuff, Bjorn. Like, I just got it. And there are times in battle I'm just like, oh no, like it just made my own body hurt, So it's one.
I know my I have an overactive brain. It focuses on lots of things at one time, and sometimes they fight each other. But having said all that, one thing I did strive, and I've said this in previous events like this, realism. I mean, I want it to appear to be real. I don't. Yes, there are fantastical elements involved. There's a supernatural power inside this Viking warrior. You know, there's all that. But I wanted it to be as though you could see it really happen, and even though it's out in left field sometimes. And the way you do it is make it believable. You know, you can't just have like you said, you know, these vague or awkward physical scenes that either lose their pace or just don't make any sense. You can't visualize it. And an interview I did recently asked how do I do that? And the only thing I could answer was I play out every second in my head multiple times before I start typing it. I want to completely see the whole scene, every second of it, and then I start typing from there. I think if you just charge into a scene like that without really thinking it through, you're almost just rushing to the end of it, and then your reader is okay. There's no way his elbow can wrap around the top of his head. You know, just they will find ways to pick it apart. So that's my advice for sure. If anybody wanted to know how I do it, is visualize it fully through every second, multiple times before you even start writing it.
Well, so are you a pantser, or do you like plot and outline those scenes, or do you just envision it like you're saying several times and then just hit the keyboard and it just flows out, you know, like water, or like what's your more in depth like that?
I think it really depends on the circumstance. What is the scene? I think I've explained this before, and my style has changed, and I'm sure Andrea can fully attest to this. I started out with a very, very structured outline. I didn't want to deviate from that outline. If I did deviate, I would stop, erase what I just wrote, start over. No. I could not deviate from the plan, and that comes from technical writing, which I used to do. Okay. But as it's gone along, and by the time I'm writing book 8, which I'm writing the second draft of book 8, it's a lot different now. I set some goalposts. You know, I have a beginning and an end, and I have some important events in the middle. All the rest of it is completely organic. Just as I go, the characters in the story write themselves, and that, to me, makes all the difference for fiction writing, in my opinion. The whole way I was trying to write it before was just, it was stifling. It was heavy. I felt like I was fighting myself the whole time, and now I don't. Now it just flows. But to answer your question, if it's one of the events that I've already pre-planned, it's harder to write because I've already got it in my head how it has to be.
Yeah.
So it's more of a lot more planning, a lot more time is spent on those scenes. But the ones that just kind of pop up organically, they seem to just flow. I mean, I do, as I said, I do sit there and watch in my head. I'll watch the scene go through several times, second by second, and start writing it. But it's not as laborious. It's not as stressful for me because it just popped up. So it must be meant to be, right? Well, yeah, it just happened.
You're not having to like stress over the fact that you deviated from your outline.
Well, not just that. It's now, you know, with the organic ones, I don't have to worry about does it fit per se because it happened for a reason. But the ones that I've pre-planned, I always worry, does this fit? And many times I've asked Andrea, in the document I've sent her for the first edit, I'll ask, does this fit? Does this make sense here? I said, I feel like it's well written, but does it make sense? And that's usually where it's coming from. Is I've already planned it to be in there, but I am now wondering if other circumstances have pushed it out of its important place. If that makes any sense, all the way I just described it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could totally get that. And I could see like the struggle at the beginning, you know, since you were coming from being a technical writer into more of, I mean, it's fiction, but I feel like a technical writer, which I could not do. I'm not organized or structured enough to do that. So like kudos to you. Like my office is a mess. Okay. It's why we're in my living room. But,
to me, technical writing's easier. But it's far less fun.
Well, I mean, I could see that. I could see if you're like a very analytical, organized person, I could see it being easier. But I feel like if I was going to write a book, which everyone on here has heard me say multiple times, it's never going to happen. Like, I know too much about the book industry to ever write a book, right? It's never going to happen. But I feel like fiction, where you can just sit down and like type, and then if it, you know, like I've heard a lot of stories of like pantsers who just fly by the seat of their pants, kind of like what you're describing, right? Just kind of flows instead of having an outline. And I know some that have an outline and they get kind of like you, and they get kind of stressed out if they don't stick to their outline. But I am a firm believer, from all of the stories and authors that I have talked to, that when your characters are in your head telling you a story, they're not outlining it. They're just like, look, man, we're going to do this. So you can write it like we're not, but we're going to end up doing it, you know? So I guess I could see your enjoyment in that, but I could see the struggle going from being outlined, sticking to it, to more just kind of, let's see where the river takes us, right? Let's just write it. So it's a fun thing to always get you to kind of talk about it, because what's the saying?
What's the saying? The saying is there's, you know, two ends of a spectrum, and reality somewhere in the middle.
Oh,
that's where I'm trying to settle, is where in that middle should I be? But yeah, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer.
Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting there. You kind of switch back and forth. You're getting there.
20, 30 more books, I'll be perfect.
Right? Oh my goodness. It brings into, I guess, the question we always close out with, right? So obviously there's more books in this series, right? But it feeds into the fact of what is next after this series for you. Is it writing, continuing in fiction? Are you going to go back to technical? Kind of, where do you see your writing journey after this series?
Well, we got 2 more in this series. So 7, which is in Dina's hands right now. Mm-hmm. And 8, I've written a draft and sent it to Andrea, and she knew ahead of time. I told her we're going to end up seeing this one again. I'm not fully happy with it, but I want your take. I want you to look at it and give me some idea of where this hits and doesn't hit. So I'm going back through it now. I'm beefing it up. And Andrea, I think you're going to like the solution. I just got to get to the end. But that one's going to probably take a while. That won't be real soon. But that'll be the end of the Thalspar series, the main series outside the Thalspar. I've already gotten a book written of a spinoff featuring our good friend Josephine. I had to keep going with her. Yeah,
you have to. She's so awesome and ruthless. Like, you can't just not. Like, I would be so sad.
And let me throw this out there to Andrea, because I haven't asked her this yet. Okay, you recall Confluence of Vipers, right? That's the first spinoff with Josephine. Okay, and you remember 6 and 7 that feature Josephine. If you compare the 3, which one do you think has the most broadest appeal, or which one do you think's the best? I guess is the easiest way to say it, in your opinion. They're all about Josephine, and she's saying Josephine throughout. But
right, but that's a hard question. I don't know if I can answer that well, only because you can't read the others without knowing. Like, you have to have book 6 first. I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah. And you learn her foundation and where she came from and all of that. Before you move forward. But yeah, I don't know if I could say which one is best. So this is what I mean. It's truly, again, not a cop-out. Book 6 is really great by establishing her story, right? Yeah. The Confluence of Vipers is really like more psychological, even in terms of the family relationship and her brother and all that. And then that's a tough question. You're right. You haven't asked me that one. I don't have a good answer for that.
No, but I bring that up because your question, Amy, was of where are we going next? That's the first stop after this series. Is we're going to stay with Josephine for a little bit.
Awesome.
She's going to have her own spinoff book. It's already written. It's already edited. I've already went back through and did the final revision, so it's ready to go. It's just a matter of timing now. I've got 5 or 6 other books started.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to. I mean, I'll eventually finish them, but I don't know in what order or what's going to draw my inspiration to finish which one first. But it's all going to stay in the Thalspar series. I feel like I've built a whole world, and I don't really want to leave it. I don't want to leave it now. You know, it's never going to. It theoretically can never. It could theoretically go on forever. Not that, you know, because it's the whole world and it's all these characters. And it touches in every genre. We're going to go to crime. You know, Josephine's story already is pretty much more rooted in historical crime drama with 6 and 7, but the spinoff is called it's going to be a series called Cameron, and the first book is A Confluence of Vipers. And it is 100% historical crime drama. So this might be the first time I've stayed in one genre in a book. This one is purely that, you know, it's about her and her activities in New York during the 1860s. But there's other books I'm kicking around. There's some spinoffs that follow the surviving MMC after the series is over, the main series. There's still some characters that are left standing, and it shows some of their, you know, what happens with them after they're done with Mariel's destiny. And I might go back and kind of pick up some eras in between the Viking Age and the modern age. So you're looking at the medieval times. I got some ideas there. So yeah, I don't have a firm path and forward on it, but it's definitely going to be in the Thalspar's world, I believe, the Thalspar universe.
But isn't it amazing? I mean, y'all heard what he said early in this interview, that there were hundreds or thousands of these characters. Like, that kind of blows my mind. And I work with a lot of authors, and they say the same thing, just not that level, not that many, not that high of a number. You know, they're like, these people live in my head, and you know, all the things they say. When he talks to me about his characters, it's like he knows these people, you know.
They're friends.
And he'll tell me, he'll I've edited some book, you know, and along the way, and he'll say, do you remember this guy? He just had a little mention in book 3. I'm like, Well, meanwhile, he's written like a whole other story about him now, you know. So
it sounds like
Bjorn.
Everyone's got a story.
Thalspar, but you really took a big risk. I mean, up front with book 1 in terms of genre, and it has panned out. It has worked out for you because you really have few boundaries and limitations in terms of the genres that you can hit. So good job.
But that's the charm of all of this, and I agree with you completely, Andrew. I mean, there's lots of writers, specifically indie, who will try to write based on the trend of the day or do a book design based on what they think everybody else is going to like, because that's the popular vein at this time. Bjorn doesn't do that. Bjorn does what he wants to do because he feels it's going to fit with him and his fan base. And that's the beauty, the charm, and just the overall marketability of what you can and can't do. So I know I've pointed out in several interviews that it's, for me, and I would imagine it has to be for a lot of authors. I don't know a lot of authors personally, but it's a passion. It's got to be a passion. If it's not a passion, if it's just a way to make money, so to speak, you know, okay, I'm going to write this book. It's going to sell trillions, and I'm going to make my fortune off of it.
Right.
And that's all it is to you. It comes through. The reader can pick up on that. Don't ever underestimate your reader. You know, I truly do, and this isn't just me trying to make it sound good for myself. I truly do put everything I possibly can into the story. Yeah. Because I believe in the story and I want it to come across exactly that way to the reader. The reader might not like it. That's fine. I mean, I appreciate any feedback, even if they're telling me it's the worst book I've ever read. At least I got feedback, you know, and thankfully I've not gotten one like that, but I'm sure one day I will. I mean, it is what it is. But that's the point, is it's pure. It's a story it blossomed in my head and I wanted to share it. And that's my motivation.
Yeah,
it's beautiful and it's amazing. And thank you for sticking to your beliefs and not cringing to what the flavor of the day is, because that never works anyways. It doesn't.
I think
not for long. I don't think. Yeah.
No, not for long. But I think a lot of it, right, Bjorn? Because I've been in this industry for a long time. I've worked with a lot of authors. Independent authors. They're my jam. I love indie authors. Honestly, I feel like they write the best books. To be honest with you, but I think what separates you from a lot of them, you do have some that are like, oh, I'm doing this to make money. And those are generally like a business book. Something kind of like that to bring in more business. But I think that what separates is the passion just for the happy place. I'm gonna call it your happy place. Your happy place, like Bob Ross. Happy little accidents. The world that you've created.
Oh, you're speaking my language. I love Bob Ross.
I know, he's so fantastic. But I think just to go off of that, I think it just truly comes across that way, like a Bob Ross kind of way. Everybody just wanted to watch Bob Ross. He just made you feel better when you were feeling sick, right? But you created this happy place universe for you, and your passion for it came across, and it was just your love for it. And that's really hard to convey. And I've only read a handful of books that I am on that same level of from the author that wrote it that way. And they all have the same mindset that you have. It's for enjoyment, and you want to make it as realistic as possible, right? Because the point of books at the end of the day is kind of like a movie, but in our head, but it escapes from reality, the stress of the day, family life, whatever it is. It's for pure enjoyment and to escape from, temporarily. But you get to do that. So that's why I'm it really comes across in that way. And like I said, I've only read a handful of books, and I've read a crap ton of books, and only a handful, it comes across that way. So I think, it would be nice to say that all authors are like you, but to be honest, they're not. So you should be proud.
Well, I appreciate it. I just hope it
100%
continues the way it's been.
I'm not even lying. I think it's fantastic. I really do. And your books, I thoroughly enjoy them. And I told you when we started working together, I'm not a big fantasy person. I like historical fiction, but I wasn't a big fantasy person. I like Vikings if there's a lot of battle scenes and gore.
You do bring up a good point, and we've touched on it before, but I wanted to be a little more explicit this time.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pick up book 1 or 2, 3, it doesn't matter. If you're gonna pick up any of them, I will issue this warning. It is a commitment, because I have very few I have no bad reviews. I have a few that or they didn't like something about the story. That's fine. Of course, everyone's different. But one of them is it seems to stem from some readers want answers faster. And I will warn you, you're not going to get instant answers in this story, because the story is so complex and layered and involved. It's going to take books. You're going to have to read books to find answers. You're not going to find it in 3 chapters.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a commitment. If you want to experience the entire story, it is a commitment.
Yeah. But I feel like most fantasy readers, even epic fantasy readers, right? They understand it's a commitment that they're getting into. And so it's kind of one of those, which is, again, why I'm not a big fantasy reader, because I am like those people you described. I'm kind of, my generation is an instant gratification generation, that's just how it is. It's why texting me is better than email, right?
But the good part is I did unintentionally build in a fail-safe on that. There are small victories you can get along the way while you're looking for the big victory at the end.
Yeah,
so
there is. Coming from a millennial, you guys, yes, you have to be patient, but you do have these little completion things,
Mm-hmm.
So you still do get it of coming from a millennial, which I don't know how important a millennial's judgment is, but that's my opinion, so we're gonna roll with it. But I want to give everybody last minute comments, or if they have questions for Bjorn. We're going to be back for book 7, which I'm super excited to start reading. And then, book 8. And then we're going to go off into your off series. But I guess before anything else, I want to go around. Bjorn, I want to come to you last. I want to ask everybody what they're currently reading or what their favorite book that they've read is. So, Andrea, I'm going to start with you. I know. I'm sorry. You're going to pop around.
Reading. Girl, I read from the time I get up till the time I go to bed.
I
What
get
am
it.
reading? I'm not even kidding. So I have like, my spiritual self-help kind of books
Right.
that I read in the morning. Then I edit all day long. If I'm in the car, I'm listening to an audiobook, and then I read something when I'm going to bed at night. I actually just finished a novel, an audiobook yesterday. That was really good. I'll have to look up the author's name. It's Beck something. But it's Beck Dory Stein. The name of the audiobook is Spectacular Things. It's just a novel. It's lighthearted in most ways. But it's a relationship between two sisters. And their mom, actually, and it really touches a lot on family dynamics and the sacrifices that we make along the way. We have a dream, but life happens and things change, and how we respond to that. So I really enjoyed the audiobook version of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dina, are you currently reading? Your JD Robb does not count.
No, I will not mention her. I think really and truly the last thing I honestly read was At Least I'm Trying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the few that I got sucked into while doing the
Formatting,
the flow of it, and but other than that, it's probably just something about my cult compound, like.
Okay, disclaimer, it's not really a cult compound. It's just a bunch of acreage of land that Dina wants to have that her family can have houses on. She's not really she's not joining or starting a cult, you guys.
Well, I call it
the flamingo cult.
Because, if I say, well, yeah, it's a cult compound, then people aren't going to want to come, right? So,
well, I mean, I get it, but she's not starting a cult, okay? It's a family cult.
But if Dina were to start a cult, it would have the symbolism would have to be a flamingo. I'm sorry, I keep saying penguin. Flamingo. Yeah. How do you make a flamingo vicious and terrifying? How do you do that?
You don't.
You just put a halo over its head, right? And then you all bow down, and
so you're not attempting to intimidate anybody, clearly, right?
No, it's not. Oh my goodness. Mickey, what about you? What would you say is your favorite book, or what did you just finish reading?
So I just finished a tour with Sebastian de Castell. We toured a number of books together. We toured a number of dates together. After that, he challenged me to start reading more books of our clients. So I've started taking that. So I've actually started reading his debut book, Trader's Blade. And I started doing that this week. And it's the first book in the Greycoat series. It's his debut book. He has published 17. So I'm going to go with that first and foremost. And then maybe we'll look at other avenues. But that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, fair.
Nice.
Bjorn
has a lot to catch up.
What's that?
Yeah.
Bjorn has a lot to catch up because he's on 7.
Yeah.
And Sebastian is 17.
And I'm not a speed reader, so I'll flip and flop around stuff. But we'll be reading this book first, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Bjorn, I said that you were going to go last, so I'm going to go. So I just finished reading what was categorized as a dark romance paranormal, which I'm not a paranormal reader, and it's called Does It Hurt? And it was very underwhelming. It was underwhelming. I was all set for dark romance, if you understand dark romance, you know what you're getting into. And this book came highly recommended. I just finished it an audiobook. I did start a new app-based novel that's called Watch Me Win Alpha. It's one of the few werewolf novels that I will read. I'm not a huge werewolf person. I go through stages, I guess. But it's an app-based one. So, you have to buy the coins. And it's scene by scene. And I'm a sucker. So it's just how it goes. But that's currently my direction that I'm going. So Bjorn, what was your latest novel or your favorite novel that you've read? And you cannot say your own.
It's a marketing ploy. We can use that.
No, I do have an answer this time. Usually I stumble, I just fumble through it and talk about crap I've read 15 years ago, but I have one this time, and I'm kind of ashamed I didn't have this last time we did this, and I was asked this question. A very good book I've read recently is a book called Type A Plans B by somebody I know.
Nice. Nice.
And it's not my usual read. When I do read, something other than research and nonfiction of other types, it's not my usual thing, but I did enjoy it a lot. And the reason I enjoyed it was, even though my or other people's circumstances might not match the author's in this memoir that she wrote, it still applies. It's a very good study in self-introspection and how do you adjust to a drastic change in your life with that introspection. I don't know that I'm doing it justice trying to explain it. I'm not a very psychologically speaking person.
Words are hard for you? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, it can be. It depends. It depends on the topic, but I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. It's not just because I respect this person and I wanted to pitch her work. I truly did enjoy it, and I really do believe that. I think that it does. If somebody reads it, they will find something useful for them, even if their circumstances are completely different. Hers revolved around a divorce and having children. Well, I'm not divorced and I don't have children, but there are still things that's happened in my life where I still would follow a similar path of dealing with it that she did. And it is it's easy to read. It's not just overwhelmed with these big psychological words that you can't understand what they are. It's a good read. It's a really good read, and I would suggest it to anybody. And I think it's been out there 5 years recently.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, it has. Thank you for that.
I love it. I love books like that, because if you can't not necessarily be in the same predicament or situation that someone else is in, but you can apply it to another situation that you're in. I think those, to me, and I'm not even being honest because I love this person, I think those to me are the best types of books, because you really can apply them to any situation in life at any season of life. So I think that they're fantastic. And if you don't know who we're talking about, they're on the call. I'm not going to call them out, but they're here. Oh yeah, it's Mickey. It's Mickey.
I was actually pointing at someone else, but I thought I was on this video.
No,
it's not me. I am not a writer.
It's not Mickey, you guys. It's not Mickey. We're gonna let them remain anonymous. But you guys,
I'm not ashamed of it.
I know. I know.
Thanks for saving me,
can tell by her voice.
it.
You can tell by her voice. I don't even need to tell you, but I wasn't sure if you wanted me to put you on blast because Bjorn just plugged you in. But
I will. It's Andrea Flores, and it's a very good book.
Oh my goodness, it is a good book. You should go and also check it out. So while you're checking that one out, make sure you check out Bjorn's book 6. Rune of Spirit. It is out today, so make sure you go and check it out. But you guys, I generally meant it. I love doing book launches with you guys because it really is just all of us friends getting together, having a really fun hour plus conversation, and it's just so much fun. So these are by far my most favorite book launches, and I mean that. So with that being said, I hope all of you guys have a great, fantastic book day and a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time with Bjorn, everybody, I cannot wait. Go and check it out. It's available today. But until then, bye for now, everybody.